Alright, we're going to test the spark. I pulled the spark plug and ground the spark plug to the case. And then the ignition switch on, I crank the motor. Oh, you're supposed to take your ratchet off the top there. Plenty of spark. Alright, so it's a fuel issue again. Now, I just put more fuel in there, but it's the same fuel it was running on. And that container was tight, so rainwater shouldn't have infiltrated into there and caused any problems. It's got to be something else going on. I guess I won't turn on the cooling until I get this thing firing again. Huh. I just squirted a little gas right in the throat of the bottom carburetor. happened there. Doesn't feel like it's overheated. Oh, I might have a venting problem with my fuel system. The top of my homemade fuel tank here was actually caved in. And it just popped up when I took this cap off. This might be a bad vent. Oh, my tank's empty. I'm out of fuel. Wow, this thing's a gas hog. 559. 538 is when I started my test. So basically I ran it 21 minutes at various stages of RPMs, and in 21 minutes I emptied that tank. So, you know, hopefully that's a more definitive test. Now this tank wasn't full. This is a tank off of an old Arian snowblower, more than likely. I don't know if that's a 1 gallon, I don't even think that's a 1 gallon tank. But anyways, during the whole time I was running this, I kept feeling over here to feel if it was getting too hot, and it wasn't. It was staying nice and cool. The one place where it's getting hot, if I stick my hand in further underneath here, closer to the flywheel here, that was getting very hot right there. I stuck my hand in way in there. It was so hot that I didn't want to keep my hand on it. That immediately cooled right off as soon as the motor shut down. So I think that might just be where exhaust gas is reporting somewhere. That might be just the hot spot for that. Otherwise, now this is getting ice cold. This is as cold as the 50-degree water that's coming out of my well. Forcing through the bushes, by the way. I'm wasting, so I can shut it off. At one point in the festivities, my my whole tub there tipped and a whole bunch of water spilled out, and it started flowing out, and so I ended up with the mud puddle I was trying to avoid anyways, but that's okay. Whew. Boy, that smoke was awful. Well, so in other good news, for those of you who were able to see it on the meter, I'm developing about 17 volts AC here while it's running, which means my seat of the pants alternator repair actually worked. Oh, the flywheel's hot. It's interesting. Anyways, my flywheel, my alternator repair worked because I'm making 18 volts or so, 17 or 18 volts AC here. And then here at the rectifier, I was making 13 point something volts, which now we'll compare that to the engine not running state, 12.75. I was making 13.8 or something like that. So I got 12.75 coming out of my battery with no load, and when it's running, my rectifier is putting out 13.7, so that will be charging my battery. So my charging system's working. That's fantastic. Well, it's almost supper time, and I can't find that container with the hardware at the moment. The 2 screws that go in here. So I'll have to revisit clamping these things like I wanted to. Oh, I just wanted to say something about this hard starting that I had earlier, that I had to put fuel directly into 2 of the cylinders, get it sputtering before it started to pick up fuel. My theory on that is that it has to do with the fact that I'm trying to gravity feed this system, and I think there might be like an airlock situation or something that happens in here that I think will be completely overcome once I have this actually running off of a fuel can with a primer bulb on it. I think what's going to happen is when I have the primer bulb on there, I give it a few squeezes, it's going to force fuel past the check valves in these fuel pumps and be able to fill those bowls with fuel and start it. It's just a theory, but it just seems like it just runs too well once it's running for it to really be a fuel delivery issue. It's only an initial startup after I've run it out of fuel that it seems to give me a problem. So All right, so that's going to be, I think, a wrap for tonight anyways. It's almost supper time anyways. Anyways. Oh, one last thing. I am going to have to take a look at this thing. This thing was all over the place. When it was registering like crazy all over the place. Or at one point it looked like it stabilized, so I showed it on the video. I said, geez, you know, could that actually be correct? But then I was looking at it and it's like, no, that thing thinks it's at 7,500 RPM. And then when I brought the RPMs down, the needles kind of still stayed there. So I noticed just moving these wires the slightest bit makes it go haywire. It even looks like there might be some breaks in the wire inside the insulation right here. And that's a common bend point right there. I wouldn't be surprised if that's, you know, that might end up being a simple fix of just cutting this wire, opening this up, cutting this wire back a little bit, and resoldering it onto the board. So I think that might end up being, if it was completely dead, I'd be more worried about it. But the fact that I'm getting something out of it and moving the wires makes it go haywire, I feel confident that I can probably fix this thing. So hopefully I can get this video up sooner than later, and I can you know, get some more input from guys, what they think about what this thing sounded like. I know, you know, you're listening to the audio picked up by a video camera, and it's not like being here live, but I did notice that, you know, I was having trouble maintaining a very steady RPM, but I've got this linkage basically, it's not hooked to anything, so the vibration alone was making it kind of creep back. I had to keep coming back and bumping it up. And a couple times, you know, it was sputtering. But I figure I haven't really played with the too much with the air fuel mixture settings on the 3 carburetors. So I think when one of the carburetors loads up, it might cause it to you know, start running a little bit richer and then lean out, that kind of thing. Again, just a theory, but that might be why it's not. I mean, my experience has been that these 2-stroke outboards are sputtery as heck anyways. At some point when you get it under load full throttle, it should even right out, but I haven't even had a chance to try that yet. So all right, now I really am going to go in.